Alrighty, at the risk of saving time for the video, I already went and got started. I took a picture of all the ingredients, so I'll send that to you too. You start with a cake mix, and I use a moist butter flavor. It's my favorite. 1 cake mix, 4 ounces of butter. It's usually about, I don't know the measurements. The package of butter that I bought are in 4-ounce bars, and that seems to work out just fine. Or 3/4 of a regular stick of butter, but it needs to be butter. And the colder the better. And you take the butter and you chop it up, cube it up. I got a picture of that too. And then 1 egg. 1 cake mix, 4 ounces of butter, 1 egg. Put it all in the bowl. And then with the pastry cutter, you mash it all up until it looks about like this, just so that everything is moist. First couple of years that I did this, I used a fork. That was very labor intensive. Then I got smart and used a whisk. That's okay too, but that gets tiresome. The pastry cutter works perfectly, and now I won't make them without it. So you keep mashing and mashing until it gets all pretty much incorporated. And like I said, just all of the dry cake mix is moist. It's not clumpy in big clumps. It's just kind of grainy. And then you have one of these pans, and I use butter flavored Pam, and I spray it very generously. Then you take this, pour it into the pan just straight out, shake it around until it's even in the bottom. That's the first step. Take the same bowl, and you have 1 package of your bits of Brickle. Dump it in there. 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. Pop tops on these things are genius, because we all know how hard it is to get every little bit out of a can of sweetened condensed milk. Hopefully I can pour this in here. I have this scraper that I can't make these without either. 3 tools that I can't make these without now, and that's the pastry cutter, my scraper, and then actually the other metal scraper that I use to cut them up with. I'll show you that in a minute. It's also in the picture. Just get all of this stuff in there. Forgot to mention that you preheat your oven, and you'll have to, the first batch will probably be trial and error as far as baking time and baking temperature. I'd rather cook it at a lower temperature for longer than to risk burning it, which I've done. That's no fun, because this stuff ain't cheap. Alright, you've got your Brickle, your sweetened condensed milk, 1 cup of chopped nuts. I've used pecans and walnuts. Your choice. These happen to be walnuts. 1 cup in there. 1 egg, which in both the base and this, I usually mix it up first. Just, break the egg in a bowl. If you get a bad egg, you know that deal. But I'm just going to put this in here. And then a generous splash of vanilla extract. New bottles, open it. Just generous splash. And then you mix all of this good stuff up. And I mix it with the rubber spatula. Just make sure that it's all mixed up. Make sure that the egg gets all incorporated in everything. And it's all gooey goodness. Then When it's all mixed up, you take your base, take this, and with your rubber spatula, dump it all on there. I just dump it right in the middle, actually, because then you're going to take the rubber spatula and spread it. And I know you can't see me doing this, but you just try to spread it all evenly across the top of the cake part. Takes a little doing because you don't want to tear up the, or mix it, the bottom with the top. So you just kind of use the edge of the rubber spatula to move it around and make sure it's all coated on top. Usually end up with more gooey in the middle, more brickle and nuts on the edges. It doesn't really hurt the outcome of it. It just ends up that way. I guess it all kind of settles when it bakes. And that's basically it. I'll tilt it down so you can see. That's what it looks like. I have my oven set probably at about like 330. It's in between 325 and 350. And I have figured out the perfect timing on this is like 42 minutes. So, like I said, your first batch will be trial and error. So, when it's done baking, I let it cool most of the time overnight, but for several hours because it needs to be completely cool, completely set. And then I take this lovely little thing and cut them in the pan, move them onto like a piece of cardboard, and that's when I wrap them. And I do use saran wrap to wrap them. I've tried other kind of cling wraps. They don't really work. Some things you just don't want to skimp on. And that's about it. The way I cut them, there's usually 25 to a batch. That's it. Love you.